Hello, welcome back to Clash of Rams, the sports talk show. I'm Jeremy Hayes here with Davison Perez, Ryan Chevalier, and Eric Russo. All right, guys, the NFL draft kicks off this weekend. The New England Patriots have plenty of holes to fill on their roster, so Davison, why don't you start us off?
I think the main hole that they need to fix is the offense. They're going to have to really add to that offensive line, maybe get an offensive tackle. We know that there's many 300-plus pound offensive tackles in this upcoming draft. So if they can capitalize on at least one of those guys and bolster up their offensive line, I think they stand a chance in a very deep and defensive-minded AFC East. And Ndamukong Suh in Miami, they're going to have to face the AFC East 6 times this season. So in order to keep up with them, I think they're going to have to revamp and add to that offensive line for sure.
I'm going to talk about the traditional cornerback problem we have where you have Browner and Revis leaving, so we're going to need corners. I remember a few years back with Brady and the Patriots, they were scoring well one season, but the cornerbacks were bad. We had a Bengals quarterback, I remember, but overall it hurts your overall team when you can't stop an offense, and this is a passing league. So the Patriots will really need that, especially just to stay competitive in the division and in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't think we ever really know exactly what the Patriots are going to do on draft night. Bill Belichick always schemes something up, trading up and down, and there's always that guy that no one ever saw them picking that ends up on their board. But I think the obvious focus is on defense. They lost Vince Wilfork, they lost Darrelle Revis, they lost Brandon Browner. Gerard Mayo's a year older, coming off injury. Dante Hightower's coming off an injury. So they need to fill some holes on that D-line and that linebacking core. And in the secondary, again, we've talked about it over the last few shows about what they've done getting rid of those guys. So they need to fill holes at the cornerback position especially. And then, like Davison said, obviously a big thing on offense is that offensive line. I think they got away with it a little bit last year. The beginning of the year was terrible. That was a huge concern for everybody, that offensive line. They solidified things as the year went on, but they definitely need help there. But the main focus is on defense and revamping that defense because you've lost so many pieces since the Super Bowl.
All right, I'm going to go in with my draft knowledge and start with Dave. So I love that you brought up offensive tackle. Both Soldier and Vollmer are free agents coming up the following year. So that's a very Belichick move to go after an offensive tackle. But more specifically, a guy, Cameron Irving from FSU. He's a guard, center, and tackle. That's such a Belichick pick if he ends up picking him at 32. I could see that happening. I think that would be the pick that I'd like the most out of the Patriots. So as far as offensive linemen, I could see them doing that. If not, they'll do like Brian Stork last year, where they'll find a guy in like 3rd or 4th round. As far as Ryan, I agree, cornerback is a huge need, but the question is if that guy is in the draft. I'm not sure if he is, but the Patriots seem to love Byron Jones from UConn. Kind of local guy. People love when UConn
He might go
players.
earlier, though.
Well,
he might go earlier,
exactly.
Right?
He's moving up because everybody sees him as an athletic freak, so he might go earlier. That's a guy that they're thinking they might do a Chandler Jones with, where they trade up actually and get him. I seriously doubt that, so we might not even see them take a cornerback. They might kind of bleed it out with this group, knowing Belichick. And as far as defensive linemen, I feel like there are plenty. This defensive tackle group specifically is very deep, so I don't think they're going to have to worry about that till the later rounds. And as far as just skill positions like wide receiver and stuff like that, it's a deep draft at every position. But I think that, again, this could be a weird year where they get a guy like Sammy Coates from Auburn. Belichick actually visited Auburn just to see Sammy Coates. So I don't know what that means. That might mean that they go after him, but we'll have to wait and see. But as far as my final analysis, knowing the Patriots the past couple of years, they're going to go after this guy named Randall, a safety from Arizona State. I know very little about the guy, but just knowing the Patriots, following them like for over 10 years now in the draft, I feel like that's the type of guy they're going to go for. And then they're going to get get a cornerback in the 2nd round, get that offensive tackle we need in the later round. Because I feel like they go after with who they think is best and not who we follow throughout the draft's timeline. So we're gonna have to see. Any final thoughts as far as?
I just think it's an important draft. They have 5 picks in the top 100. I think
Yep.
there's a lot of talent in those top 100 picks, and the Patriots are going to have a lot of opportunity to select some guys that have some talent in those top rounds.
All right, sure.
I'll take a moment to say this was your moment of shine. Yeah, definitely. It's good to have a draft analyst like yourself.
Yeah,
on the
very
show.
heavy.
It's going to be interesting to see like what they come up with. I personally think that the offensive tackle, the offensive line rather, is very important. But also, I totally agree with Eric too. The defensive line definitely has to get more depth for sure.
I loved your example just because I think that's something, like I said, where like, oh, Belichick will go for a safety. I think he could go for a tackle too, because that's looking towards the future. That's what Belichick does. And like I said, defensive tackle, very deep this year. I could see them going maybe 3rd or 2nd round for a defensive tackle. But we'll have to wait and see. As you can tell, I'm very excited about the draft. That's kind of my
It's your bread and butter.
Second to the Super
what
Bowl.
you do, Jeremy.
Second to the Super Bowl. Yeah. All right. So up next, guys, we're gonna have a Ram rant. So stick around.